Liverpool versus Manchester City. The last two clubs to have won the Premier League. The rivals who've been battling against each other season after season. Guardiola's team were the visitors to Anfield at a ground they'd not won since 2003. Early season markers could be set, and Pep had a chance to show early dominance over Jurgen Klopp. Mo Salah, the main man and top goalscorer for Liverpool, was at his razor-sharp lethal best. Firstly, he set up the opening goal for his teammate Sadio Mane, who slid a beautiful finish past the City goalkeeper. Then his solo goal put Liverpool 2-1 up and showed exactly what he's all about, jinking his way past defenders as if they were mannequins before smashing the finish home on his weaker foot. In an instant, and through the most beautiful mix of skill, strength, balance and ingenuity, Salah left João Cancelo and Phil Foden for dead. He put Bernardo Silva on his backside, then he skinned Aymeric Laporte before finally, with devastating precision, firing past Ederson. The match finished 2-2, and Mo Salah was named joint man of the match with Phil Foden. Foden himself scoring a wonderful left-footed finish from a tight angle, but it wasn't there that the plaudits stopped. Is there anyone in world football playing better than Salah at the moment? I think it's a legit question. The Egyptian has been a solid star for a few years now, but has he been overlooked in the past? Certainly his own level has never been higher than it is right now. Jamie Carragher said that he believes Salah is the best player in the world. I don't think there's anyone better in the world at the moment, or in European football, I really don't, he said in the post-match analysis session. I've seen the Champions League. His record over the last few weeks has been outstanding. You can never question him too much for what he's done at Liverpool, but right now he's about as sharp as I've ever seen him. I've spoken about it the last few weeks. He's one of the greatest players to ever play for Liverpool. He goes in that right side of Liverpool's all-time 11, no doubt about it. It's hard to argue, given Salah's form. Already this season, he's got 15 goals and 5 assists in just 12 games. Ronaldo, if we do wish to compare, has got 6 goals, while Messi has only really scored the stunning strike against Man City and another couple of goals in the Champions League for Paris Saint-Germain. He hasn't even scored in the league so far. Meanwhile, Salah scored in his last 10 matches, setting a record for Liverpool FC in the process, beating the personal record he set during his first season at Liverpool. He finished that campaign with 44 goals in all competitions, and on recent evidence, he will not be far away from that total this time round. He's one of the greatest players to ever play for Liverpool, says Carragher. Liverpool lost Roger Hunt recently, one of the greatest goal scorers ever seen. Mo Salah's right up there, no doubt about it. He's absolutely outstanding, said Micah Richards. He actually played along Salah at Fiorentina. He's enhanced the role that Ian Robben and Frank Ribery made their own, with a goal record that puts many of the top number 9s in Europe in the shade. It's quite hard to overstate Salah's importance to Liverpool. Since his arrival from Roma in 2017, he scored 140 goals and added 47 assists in 215 games. He's won 2 Golden Boots, a PFA Player of the Year award, Champions League, the Premier League, the European Super Cup, the Club World Cup. His 4 completed seasons at Anfield have seen him finish with 44 goals, 27, 23 and 31. He's only missed 7 league games in that time. Okay, so who can compete right now with him? Who's rivaling him as the world's best? Messi and Ronaldo naturally will always be in the conversation, though at 34 and 36 respectively, their peak has quite surely passed. Kylian Mbappe is widely considered to be the player that will take over from those two. Yet even his numbers trail Salah so far this season. Mbappe's got 4 goals and 5 assists for PSG. That's impressive, but inferior for now. Over in Germany, Robert Lewandowski's hot streak has lasted a decade. He's got 14 goals already for Bayern Munich this season. Only COVID-19 denied the Poland star Ballon D'Or last year, and his record-breaking feats in the Bundesliga confirm his status as one of the deadliest, most consistent players around. I agree with that. Erling Haaland is probably the heir to Lewandowski's throne in terms of out-and-out number 9s. The Borussia Dortmund star, who's only 21, has got 11 goals this season, although 3 came against lower league opposition in the German Cup. But he, like Mbappe, looks ready to dominate the game for years to come. Karim Benzema, meanwhile, is another striker operating at a crazy high level right now. Real Madrid are far from a fantastic team, but their French star has got 10 goals already and will again carry pretty much all of their hopes this season. At 33 years of age and having lived in the shadow of Ronaldo for the peak years of his career, Benzema remains one of the world's most underrated superstars, if such a thing actually exists. So the question remains, is Mo Salah the best player in the world right now? And how exactly did he become such an outstanding talent? Let's take a look into the rise of Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah was born on June 15th, 1992 in Basel, a city to the north of Cairo. He followed European football when he was young, and his boyhood idols were Zinedine Zidane and Luis Figo. He began his career in the youth team of El Makaloun. As a youngster, he was always picked up fullback, and one moment convinced his coach to play him up front. His team had just won an important match 4-0, but rather than celebrating, Salah was actually in tears because he hadn't managed to get on the score sheet. Once the coach realised how passionate he was about scoring goals, he moved him forward and steered his career down a different path in the process. Salah frequently had to miss school to make the 3-hour journey to training. When Salah was 15, he was noticed by then first team manager Mohamed Radwan, who moved him to the senior squad immediately. Salah had to be given a special diet and training program due to his muscles not being fully formed because of his young age. His debut in the Egyptian top tier came in March 2010, and the following season he was promoted to the first team, scoring his first league goal in December. By the 2011-12 season, he'd become a regular starter. Even though he was getting regular game time now, Salah struggled to score. In the dressing room after matches, he'd be in tears because of this, and Radwan said it only motivated him to become better.
Egypt is no stranger to soccer violence.
There doesn't seem to be an end to the violence in the city of Port Said.
The worst case of football violence in Egyptian history.
At least 72 people were killed when soccer fans attacked fans of a rival club.
Rival El Masri had just scored an upset win over El Ahly when fans charged the field and attacked players and one another.
Following the death of 74 fans in the Port Said Stadium disaster and the Egyptian Revolution, the national championship was suspended. With competitive club matches suspended, the opportunity to put himself in the shop window came along, thanks to a friendly organised by FC Basel against the Egyptian under-23 national team in March. Salah came on in the second half and scored twice, gifting his side a 4-3 victory. Basel subsequently invited Salah to remain in the city for a week's training. A month later, the Swiss club came calling with a 4-year contract. He initially found it difficult to settle in though, having arrived unable to speak the language and being signed as a replacement for fan favourite Xherdan Shaqiri. Salah scored on his unofficial debut on 23rd June 2012 against Steaua Bucharest during a friendly match, a 4-2 defeat. He made his league debut on 12th of August playing the full match and scored his first league goal a week later, the second goal in the 2-0 home win against Lausanne. Salah scored his first Europa League goal in the quarter-finals, beating Tottenham Hotspur 4-1 on penalties after a 4-4 aggregate draw. The semi-final, Salah scored again against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, but they lost 5-2 on aggregate. Despite late disappointment in Europe, Basel comfortably won the Swiss Super League and finished runners-up in the Swiss Cup. Salah was voted most valuable player in the league and also won the Swiss Golden Player Award. During the 2013-14 season, Salah would face Chelsea again, scoring the equaliser in the 2-1 away win during the group stage of the Champions League.
Now Salah! And Chelsea are stunned by a Basel equaliser.
During the return, Salah scored the winning goal as Basel beat Chelsea for the second time with a 1-0 home win.
From him, and Salah has done it! For the third time in a row against Chelsea.
However, he couldn't prevent Basel being eliminated in the group stage. On the domestic stage, Salah continued to perform, scoring 4 goals in 18 games, including a double against rivals Young Boys. He helped Basel win the league title for the 5th time in a row. On the 23rd of January 2014, Chelsea announced that a deal had been agreed with Basel to sign Salah for a fee reported to be in the region of £11 million. 3 days later, the transfer was completed, making him the first Egyptian to sign for the London-based club. Liverpool had been keen to sign the Basel striker and had made an offer of £11 million, but they were beaten to his signature by the Blues. Salah made his debut for Chelsea in the Premier League, coming on as a substitute in the 3-0 win over Newcastle United. Salah scored his first goal for Chelsea against Arsenal at Stamford Bridge in the London derby, coming on as a substitute for Oscar, and the match was ended with a 6-0 win for the Blues. Salah then hit the headlines in July 2014 when he risked having to temporarily interrupt his playing career in order to carry out compulsory military service in his country. The Prime Minister, Minister for Education, and the head coach of the national team had to sit down together and resolve the situation, opting in the end to protect the superstar of Egyptian football. Salah changed squad numbers from 15 to 17 for the start of the new season. Eden Hazard gave him the shirt after changing to the number 10. Unfortunately, Salah was rarely used during the season, making just 3 Premier League, 2 UEFA Champions League, and 3 cup appearances, failing to score in any of them. After a poor performance in a 2-1 win at League 2 club Shrewsbury Town in the 4th round of the League Cup, him and fellow winger Andre Schürrle were criticised publicly by manager Jose Mourinho. Although Salah only made 3 league appearances before his loan move to Fiorentina, Mourinho said that he would get a replica winners' medal from the club for his contributions that season. But why did he struggle to produce? Of course, there's an argument to be made that it's Mourinho's job to blood youngsters and offer them a chance in the first team. But unfortunately, there's a time and a place for this to be done, and having secured Premier League glory in Salah's 2nd season at the club, Chelsea clearly weren't at a stage where they felt a 21-year-old could be afforded the chance to develop and make mistakes in the first team. Mourinho said about Salah, he was a lonely boy, a naive boy, and physically fragile.
Completely out of context, physically fragile.
Former Chelsea midfielder Oscar said that he felt it was down to Salah's lack of confidence. He was unstoppable during practice but always shy and quiet off the field, he said. During the games, I guess he didn't have the confidence that we saw at every club he's played for after Chelsea, and especially now at Liverpool. Not only was Salah far from the player he is today, the competition for places was also a huge factor in his lack of development at Chelsea. The Egyptian joined a team that was full of international talent, including £30 million recent signing Willian, vice-captain Frank Lampard, Brazilian playmaker Oscar, £50 million signing Fernando Torres, and some other guy called Eden Hazard. Juan Cuadrado's arrival in 2015 was the final dagger in Salah's Stamford Bridge career. In January 2015, he moved to Fiorentina on loan, and his impact on Italian football was instant. 9 goals in 26 matches. He chose the number 74 shirt in honour of the victims of the Port Said Stadium riot. He scored his first goal in his first start for the club and made an assist just 2 minutes later, giving his new team a 3-1 win against Sassuolo. His standout moment in a Viola shirt had to be his 2 goals in the first leg of the Coppa Italia semi-finals, handing Fiorentina a slender advantage at the Juventus Stadium. Off the back of that, the club tried to make the move permanent, but Mo refused. He then refused to return to the club, even though the loan agreement was for 18 months, and instead joined Roma. Fiorentina filed a complaint to FIFA, but Chelsea and Salah were cleared of any wrongdoing. Salah chose his now customary 11 shirt while starting for Roma. Salah scored 15 goals in 42 matches as Roma finished in 3rd place in Serie A and qualified for the Champions League. At the end of the season, Salah was named the club's player of the season. Mo was now beginning to see the fruits of his hard labour as he was getting recognised in the European game. Roma's management could see what was happening and signed him to a permanent deal for 15 million. He scored his first goal of the season in a 4-0 win over Udinese in the opening game of the season. And in November, he scored a hat-trick in a 3-0 win over Bologna, his first club career hat-trick. Injury followed by a loss of form, and eventually, after getting knocked out of Europe and finishing 2nd in the league, Salah was brought off in the last game of the season for captain and club legend Francesco Totti, who was playing his final game for the club. A fitting tribute. The 28-year-old really impressed in Rome, contributing 31 goals and 17 assists over 2 seasons at the club. It was inevitable. The big boys would come calling. On the 22nd of June 2017, Salah agreed a transfer to Liverpool. He signed a long-term contract with the Reds for an initial 36.5 million fee. That fee was a club record, beating the 35 million spent on Andy Carroll in 2011. He was given the same number 11 shirt that he wore for Roma. Roberto Firmino switched to number 9. Salah made an instant impact, scoring on his Premier League debut against Watford in a 3-3 draw.
Lovely touch, Firmino! And it's Salah for Liverpool!
He then scored his first Anfield goal against Hoffenheim in the Champions League playoff game. 3 days later, he scored and assisted in a 4-0 destruction of Arsenal.
One man thrust deep into the heart of Arsenal. That man, Mo Salah.
Arsenal were in the midst of a club crisis. The fans were not happy prior to this game, and Salah only helped make it worse. Arsenal Fan TV would make their thoughts known to anyone who wanted to hear about it.
It's the 3rd game of the season, and I want it to finish already. Are you mad?
Salah was now becoming recognised as a dangerous player, and he sent a timely reminder of that to his former club Chelsea when they met. He scored in the 1-1 draw, but refused to celebrate out of pure respect. He kept scoring and was now starting to break records, becoming the 2nd fastest player to 20 goals in the club's history. In March, Salah scored 4 goals in a win over Watford, which was his first hat-trick for Liverpool. In this game, he also broke a record of scoring 36 times in his debut season for Liverpool, and also became the leading goal scorer in Europe's top 5 leagues, overtaking Barcelona's Lionel Messi and Tottenham striker Harry Kane. Following Salah's record-breaking goal exploits, former Liverpool captain Steven Gerrard said, "We are witnessing the start of greatness." In early April, he scored in both Champions League quarter-finals matches against Manchester City to help his side go through. Salah was then named the PFA Players Player of the Year, having earlier been named in the PFA Team of the Year for the Premier League. 2 days later, he scored in the Champions League semi-final first leg win over former club Roma. In doing so, he became the first player from Africa and the first Liverpool player to score 10 goals in a single campaign in the tournament. His double also took him to 43 goals for the season across all competitions, going past Roger Hunt's tally of 42, making him Liverpool's 2nd highest goal scorer in a single season, behind Ian Rush. He had previously also broken the club's record for the Premier League era, surpassing Robbie Fowler's total of 36 goals set in a 95 campaign, and Fernando Torres' record of 33 for the most goals by a Liverpool player in a debut season. After his 2 goals and assists in the first leg against Roma, Salah featured in the second leg as Liverpool beat Roma 7-6 on aggregate to to qualify for the final for the first time in 11 years. He would then become the Premier League's all-time goal scorer for a 38-game season, scoring his 32nd league goal in a 4-0 win against Brighton and Hove Albion, en route to being awarded the Premier League Golden Boot. Legend. In the 2018 Champions League final against Real Madrid, Salah injured his left shoulder in the 30th minute. After initially carrying on, he left the field in tears after going to ground in a challenge with Sergio Ramos. The match ended in a 3-1 defeat after an amazing overhead kick from Gareth Bale and 2 horrific goalkeeping mistakes. The Egyptian FA stated that this would have no effect on him playing in the 2018 World Cup in Russia, and that Salah would still be named in his final squad. The day after the match, Ramos wrote a message wishing Mo all the best. Salah signed a new contract as the club wanted to keep the star. Manager Jurgen Klopp said the news was important as a statement of intent. Liverpool wanted to enhance their status in the football world, and having Salah commit himself further to the club was a major part in that. Their decision was fully justified as Mo was named on the 3-man shortlist for the UEFA Men's Player of the Year, coming in 3rd place, and was also included on the 3-man shortlist for the UEFA Forward of the Season, coming in 2nd place. On 3rd of September, he was named on the 3-man shortlist for the Best FIFA Men's Player, finishing 3rd. Salah controversially received the 2018 FIFA Puskas Award for Goal of the Season, his winning goal at Anfield in the Merseyside derby. Online, there were protests left and right. Fans and players alike found it difficult to understand how his goal was meant to be better than Gareth Bale's stunning overhead kick in the Champions League final. Cristiano Ronaldo also scored a supreme overhead kick in the same tournament. James Milner, his teammate, even joked that the goal wasn't even Salah's best in that season. More records came for Salah. On the 24th of October, Salah scored twice against Red Star Belgrade in the UEFA Champions League group stage, with his 2nd goal being his 50th for the club. With 50 goals in 65 games, he became the fastest player in Liverpool history to reach the half-century. He then became the fastest player to reach 50 Premier League goals for Liverpool when he scored in a 3-1 win over Southampton, breaking Fernando Torres' record. It also saw him become the 3rd fastest player to reach that milestone for a single club in the Premier League era, behind Shearer for Blackburn Rovers, who did it in 66 games, and Van Nistelrooy for Manchester United, who did it in 68 games. Having lost to Real Madrid in the Champions League final just a year earlier, the disappointment of going off injured in that game drove Salah to repay the support that the Liverpool fans gave to him. Liverpool faced Spurs in the final after both teams had had dramatic victories at the semi-final stage. Spurs had lost 1-0 at home in their first leg against Ajax and were losing on aggregate going into injury time at the end of the 2nd leg. Amazingly, Lucas Moura scored with the last kick of the game to put a Spurs team without their superstar Harry Kane into the final. Liverpool had an even bigger mountain to climb. They lost 3-0 in the first leg, a game in which Liverpool had unbelievably had more possession and nearly twice as many passes completed than a Barcelona team famous for giving the opposition no time on the ball at the Nou Camp. Klopp's plans didn't pan out as former player Luis Suarez and a mercurial Lionel Messi put Liverpool seemingly beyond reach. However, that famous 12th man crowd at Anfield silenced Messi and co in the 2nd leg, helping the Reds to win 4-0 in an amazing game. In the final, Salah scored Liverpool's first goal in the 2-0 win. The goal was scored in the opening 2 minutes of the match and was the 2nd fastest goal ever scored in the Champions League final. Paolo Maldini scored a faster goal, which was actually against Liverpool in the now iconic 2005 final. Salah finally had his moment in a major final, and the watching football world was taking notice. In September 2019, Salah was nominated for the FIFA FIF Pro World 11 by the Worldwide Players Union, FIF Pro, and FIFA. Klopp, Salah, and Liverpool were creating something special, and the momentum continued. In the European Super Cup final, Salah scored the winning penalty against Chelsea. Salah was voted 5th in the 2019 Ballon d'Or, losing out to Lionel Messi. Liverpool teammates Sadio Mane and Virgil van Dijk also made the top 5. Salah's trophy cabinet needed a new shelf installed as Liverpool went on to win the FIFA Club World Cup, and he picked up the Golden Ball award for player of the tournament. The goals kept rolling in as well, with Salah breaking another Torres record, this time for the most goals scored in the first 100 career goals. Salah scored 70 and Torres' record was 63. Goals are important, and none more so than those scored by Mohamed Salah for Liverpool in the Premier League. Salah scored as Liverpool beat Crystal Palace 4-0 at Anfield and put Liverpool 17 points ahead in the league championship. Liverpool finally became champions after a 30-year wait, with Salah scoring more goals against Brighton and then lifting the trophy after a 5-3 victory over Chelsea. Salah's influence in this season put him firmly on the path to Liverpool legend status. The 2021-22 season began and the performances continued to improve. The accolades were now arriving on an almost game-by-game basis. Salah scoring a goal and getting 2 assists in the 3-0 win at Norwich. Another Premier League record fell along the way, as Salah now became the first player to score in the opening game in 5 consecutive seasons. When Liverpool played Leeds, Salah scored his 100th Premier League goal. Then a few weeks later, his 100th for Liverpool, doing it quicker than anyone in the club's history, beating club legend Roger Hunt by 1 game. He also secured himself in Liverpool's annals by making it into the top 10 all-time scorers for the club. Now, any player hitting such significant milestones for a worldwide giant club like Liverpool will not go unnoticed in the world game for long. It was at this point that murmurings began to appear that Salah may be one of the world's best. His next few appearances would justify those early claims and solidify his status in the game. The lonely, naive, fragile boy was no more, and in his place a confident, physically supreme world superstar stood. On 19th of October, Salah became the first player in Liverpool history to score in 9 consecutive games with 2 goals and a 3-2 win away at Atletico Madrid in the UEFA Champions League. His second goal, his 31st in the Champions League, saw him become Liverpool's record goalscorer in the competition, overtaking the 30 goals scored by Steven Gerrard. In his next game, Salah continued breaking records with a hat-trick against Liverpool's arch-rivals Manchester United in a 5-0 victory at Old Trafford. Manchester United arrived at Anfield under pressure as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had been heavily criticised, with some suggesting that he should even be sacked. Facing a player in the form of Salah must have been Ole's and Man United's worst nightmare. The timing could not have been more inconvenient for the Manchester United legend and his players. In scoring 3 goals, Salah became the highest scoring African player in Premier League history, surpassing the 104 goals scored by Didier Drogba, and the first Liverpool player to score in 10 consecutive games, as well as the first Liverpool player to score at Old Trafford 3 games in a row. He also became the first opposition player to score a hat-trick at Old Trafford since Ronaldo in 2003, and the first to do it in Premier League history. By this point, the evidence had become overwhelming. The Chelsea flop had become a Liverpool and Premier League legend and a real contender to the best player in the world crown that had been the proud alternate possession of Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi over the past 10 years. Mohamed Salah is seemingly breaking a new record every week as he continues his fabulous form for Liverpool. The Egyptian king has been superb ever since joining Liverpool in 2017, but is hitting new heights this season. The 29-year-old is at the peak of his powers, scoring 15 goals in just 12 appearances for the Reds this term. He netted that wonderful hat-trick against Man United and will be looking to fire his side to more silverware this season. Salah's treble at Old Trafford saw him become the top goal-scoring African player in Premier League history, taking him past Chelsea icon Didier Drogba with 107 goals and counting. He has now scored in 10 consecutive games this season, the first man to achieve the feat in Liverpool's 129-year history, and became the first Reds player to score in 3 consecutive games at Old Trafford. The records keep tumbling for the superstar forward, and he'll want to continue his stunning form for as long as possible. More goals, more problems. For defenders, Salah has the most goals in a 38-game Premier League season, scoring 32 times in 2017-18, beating Cristiano Ronaldo's mark of 31. In this 2017-18 campaign, Salah also scored in the most games during a Premier League season with 24, and also against the most teams with 17, feeling his force. That season also saw Salah become the first player to outscore 3 Premier League teams in the campaign. West Brom scored 31, Swansea scored 28, and Huddersfield scored 28 as well. He won 3 Premier League Player of the Month awards in 2017, most of any player ever. After scoring against Norwich in the opening game of this season, Salah became the first player to score on the opening day of 5 consecutive Premier League campaigns. Earlier this season, Salah became the quickest player to reach 100 Premier League goals for Liverpool, bringing up the mark in just 151 matches. He's the first Liverpool player to score 20+ goals in 3 different Premier League seasons. He's also the first visiting player to score a Premier League hat-trick at Old Trafford. His Liverpool scoring record is nothing to be sniffed at. Earlier this season, Liverpool boss Jurgen Klopp hailed Salah as the best player in world football right now. "Come on, who's better than him?" Klopp said. "We don't have to talk about what Messi and Ronaldo have done for world football and their dominance, right? But right now, he's the best. He is top. We all see it. He's the best. I feel it every day." Salah has been humble when asked if he's currently the best around, saying, "It sounds great to me, but I think it's always opinion. I can't say I'm the best player in the world. Some people agree, some people not. I'm just happy about my performance at the moment, but I would always say it's opinion. It's always the ambition to be the best player in the world, I don't have to lie. It's something that drives me to work really hard and just try to be the best version of myself. In my head, I'm the best player all the time. Trying to have that confidence in my head. Doesn't matter if some people agree with you or some people don't." And there we have it, the career of Mohamed Salah. I'd be interested to hear what you think about his overall career. Do you think he's the best ever in the Premier League? Can he lay claim to now being the best player in the world? Is there anyone out there who can even compare to this guy at the moment? Which other players have done enough to come close to competing in Premier League history? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you've made it this far again, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm really enjoying making these videos, and you can definitely expect more to come in the future. If you like the content, then perhaps consider leaving a like and maybe even subscribing. It would really help me to build this channel and would let me know that I should make more videos for you guys. Anyway, I hope you had a wonderful day. Until the next one. See you next time.